What up? Uh, wow. Am I really that much of a gap tooth bitch? Okay, I guess I am. Uh, anyway, my name's Gibson. I live in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Normally from Minnesota. I transplanted here for a girl who I met on Rdio, which is a very similar thing to Spotify, but has social features, and that is a story for another day. But that is the girl who I started the album collective with, which is the music blog I'm working on right now, which I will talk to you about in a bit. But for now, I just want to say that Ann Arbor is a wonderful city. Girl and I are not together, but I'm still here. Um, we have a wonderful music scene that's involved with all the co-ops and such, and that's a big reason as to why I'm here. I'm also here because I've made a lot of friends. I'm also trying to start my own band. I'm trying to be a writer simultaneously. So, living the dream in Ann Arbor, Michigan. But besides that, though, I think that this is a great place to be because it has a great blend of the Midwestern hospitality and community sort of culture mixed with the kind of cool, young, hip, liberal college culture with a lot of diversity and a lot of, interesting, like, young, kind of liberal viewpoints. And so I think that the melding of those two things is makes this one of the best cities I've ever been to in my life. And granted, it's a very transient town, so people come and go very often, but that's part of what keeps it really interesting. And that's part of why I don't even know if I'll be here forever. I'll probably be here another year, maybe two, who knows. But I think that quality about this town is what makes it really neat. And the history, too, is really rich. I mean, a lot of the reason I stayed here is because the old music history has a lot of cool legend in it, with the Stooges and the MC5, Bob Seger. Also, Commander Cody recorded here. Mayor Hawthorne came from the city in general a few years ago. Uh, yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of crazy history for music in Ann Arbor. I know Allen Ginsberg really liked this town. Somebody told me that he had some of his ashes scattered here, which is pretty cool. Uh, Ann Arbor's just a wonderful place. John Lennon passed through here. So I think that as far as little college bubble towns go, that this one is very neat because it has the Midwestern community sense that a lot of others don't. So I was never really into the University of Minnesota campus whenever I'd been, but University of Michigan, it's very hip. They beta test a lot of different, so there'll be apps for new ideas, whether it be like coupons for restaurants or things like that. New ideas of creating punch cards. A lot of things that they're beta testing as far as programming goes will be tested on this campus and just a few others nationally, I noticed. And so I'm not sure what the reason is for that, but there is a large business school here. There's a great art school. It's probably one of the more, uh, I think, as far as like the culture goes, it's a little more widespread than that of some of the others in the Big Ten. I believe Michigan's still in the Big Ten. Don't quote me, but like I said, the art school here is phenomenal. Like, I've never seen such a distinct identity at one school and seen such an interesting like wave of success and all the projects these people have worked on after they've been here. I think it's really neat, and I think it's a testament to kind of the weird uh, community that Ann Arbor brings together through its interesting draw of what it has to offer. And I think that the co-ops are a big part of that. And right now, I think that my favorite is probably Black Elk. It's gotten a remodel. It's really beautiful. It's like orange and light turquoise blue. It's kind of Phineas and Ferb looking, if I'm going to be honest. It's cool. It's got like a giant wooden hand sculpture out front. But yeah, all the co-ops are really neat. Uh, I'm not really into frat culture or Greek life, but the frats around here are beautiful. Like, their architecture is amazing. Like, every building around here is like 100 years old. Um, everything looks like something out of Good Will Hunting, which is funny that they make a point to film certain movies at certain places, which is because most college campuses, I think, of a more prestigious level have these like really old ass buildings surrounding everything, so I don't think it's that necessary to place it in such uh, esteemed places, perhaps. But I do think it's funny that all these college towns, like everything is aged around them for the most part. They hardly ever want to get rid of the history, which is really cool. Probably unsafe as well, but who doesn't like living in an antique house? I just did for the last 7 or 8 months, and it was definitely an experience. So don't plug too many things into the outlets. You might get electrocuted. Uh, there are no lights in the ceilings, only coming out of the sides of the walls, which is obnoxious. Uh, yeah, old houses are creepy as fuck, but they do provide some great entertainment value with guests for sure. People love old shit. But yeah, Ann Arbor is a wonderful town. And the things that are keeping me here right now, the music scene, as I said before, is blossoming. I think I feel like every month or so I'm hearing about a few new artists who are actually established and trying to record and book gigs and are really good and are consistently staying active in the scene, whether it be like the open mics or the little mini music festivals such as like Luther Fest, Rockamora, Vale Summer Series, things like that. I think that it's really important that we keep that community very tight knit because there is a great potential, I think, that a new scene could emerge out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, of all places. Not Detroit, not not Grand Rapids, not Traverse City. I said they're all great areas too, but I think that Ann Arbor has a very specific vibe, not to sound cliche, which will put it on the map, and I definitely want to be there when it happens. And so I feel like right now is that time, and my friends are in a band called Pocket Candies, which is kind of a conflict of interest, I think, that I partake in all this stuff because I'm supposed to partake in all that and then sort of write about it from my blog, The Album Collective, which two of the members write for on and off. So maybe you could say it's like the Patti Smith group where the members do their own music, shit on the side. But I think Lenny Kaye probably didn't even write about Patti Smith group in his reviews. That would have been a little biased, I think. So hopefully no one gives a shit about that. But Pocket Candies, they used to be part of a project known as Caves, and now they've reformed. It's Sam, Summer, Kat Stye's a part of it once in a while, their friend Corey as well. They're, I don't know how to describe it. They're going to be pissed no matter how I do it because I'm a terrible person with this sort of thing, and I hate to box music. But it's kind of got a lot of 90s influence with the drums, and there's a lot of electronic texture. Summer's really big on tune yards and a lot of other stuff that plays with a lot of interesting vocal and instrumentation, Bjork, things like that. So that's her end of the deal. Sam's really into like a lot of garage rock and a lot of jam bands as well. So he likes Grateful Dead and Fish, along with I'm pretty sure he's into shit like My Bloody Valentine, and there's some shoegazy qualities to the music too. It's really good. But yeah, they made their own shirts, which I modeled one of them. So you should definitely buy one of those at their next show. The next one being at the Pig at on the 25th of September. So check them out then. But in the meantime, they're recording an album, which is going to be great. But they're just one of the many acts, and I don't mean to get distracted, but they're my friends, so I have to give them a plug for sure. But they're just one of the many bands in the area that are really great. There's also Willow Ray, and maybe I'm mispronouncing it's the Minor Arcana, and that girl is amazing. And they just recorded a song for the Detroit Institute of Music Education. They had like a little sampler that they were on that was really cool. I saw her at Luther Fest, and she has kind of it's almost got kind of like a folk rock, country rock kind of style. Kind of reminds me of First Aid Kit in a way, I suppose. I really like it. But we also have there are a lot of interesting bands in the area. One kid who just left who's very talented is Drew Elder. But the point is that all these people, for the most part, come from the local Midwest area, and they're all congregating in the same place and making great music, which is why I want to stay here and do that as well, because I said before I do like the Stooges and the MC5 and a lot of these old groups that came from Ann Arbor, or at least were very active in the area. So in case anyone wants to challenge me on that. But I'm in a band right now with a buddy of mine named Matt, and he does percussion and electronic programming, and I sing, but I'm also writing songs with him as well, which is a very challenging task, but a very fun one and rewarding one as well. So we're listening. We're really into. I'll admit we're into some Shuggy Otis, some Can, some Faust. To pronounce it correctly, I guess, to the most German extent. A lot of krautrock, if to call it that, and then we also a lot of punk. I like a lot of punk. I like a lot of funk. I like. The only stuff I'm finding I don't like is kind of your typical like rock or metal from like the 70s or 80s. I like stuff of like a weird, eccentric variety from I'd say maybe like the early 50s up through the mid 70s the most. And I think the kind of same goes for Matt, and then we both have like very similar like interests in the decades following, which is cool. He's probably one of the more grounded and like-minded people I've attempted to work on music with in the past several years, and so that's great. It's definitely getting me interested again, which is important because I haven't been involved in so long, and I would love to get an album out. So that's probably my goal in the local scene for a while. And like I said, I'm running albumcollective.com, which I'm remodeling right now because I broke the WordPress by fucking with it too much. That sounded bad. I broke the WordPress by messing with the theme, and so I'm just recrafting the whole thing. It's a good excuse. So that's what's going on with me. And the other thing I'm working on is a little thing called Elidus Mag, and it's a thing out of Detroit from a guy named Kevin Midas, who I met at my friend's Pocket Candies gig in Hazel Park, and he was there for the band Stay Home. And we were talking about music journalism, and we hit it off, and he invited me to work for the Elidus Mag. So now I'm writing reviews for them, and they're really cool because they focus on very, very indie music, like Bandcamp and SoundCloud level stuff. Nothing that's even been considering itself legitimate enough to really have even sold on iTunes yet, or any other music place or streaming, or whatever. It's things that probably don't have a lot of recognition outside their immediate areas, which is really neat because a lot of music news, just like any other format now, is very contrived and focusing on the same 5 things, and people would much rather write about Vampire Weekend and Run the Jewels than their local artists because it's a lot easier to write about Run the Jewels and Vampire Weekend because they're great, so people just want to write about shit they love or shit they hate. They don't want to write about shit they're not familiar with because it's a little trickier, because you have to put some gut and spirit into what you're writing because it's based off what you think. There's no other preconceived ideas about what you're writing about going into it before you even set the pen to paper. So I think that's a very challenging thing, and I'm really flattered to have been invited to work on the Elidus Mag. And that's elidusmag.com, which you can find a link to in the description. If it's still in the same place as before. I haven't used YouTube in so long, but yeah, so I'm really excited about that. Sorry, when I get nervous I play with shit and I have a lighter, so. My walls aren't normally this creepy and Matthew McConaughey-esque, like from True Detective. I just haven't put up my posters yet. Just moved in, so forgive me for looking like a creep, but it's early in the morning. I'm rather tired still. I admittedly had a walk of shame, and it was truly terrible because the elevator was either broken, because it sounded like it was making this awful noise, it wouldn't stop, and then it tried to stop, because this girl says it's because of moving day, because people are moving in and out, but I don't buy it, because I heard it trying to open, and I even tried to grab it and try to slide it, oh, maybe it's a little bit stuck, and it just wouldn't open. And then 12th floor, so woo, just going down. Just it took me a little while. It was a lot of breath. It was very early in the morning, and I'm very chubby, so I think that that was probably the worst that experience could ever be, and I'm pretty thankful for that. But besides that little escapade and my other adventures in trying to be a musician and writer, I think that right now is kind of a calmer period. Finally moved into a new place. Finally figuring out financial situation, not feeling like I'm struggling all the time. So life's pretty good, and I think that I'm wanting to share with my friends because there are a lot of people who get mad because I don't talk to them enough. And they're like, you don't keep me up on your life. So I guess if I can give them this, that's better than nothing. And I feel like an asshole for saying that, but at the same time, I'm really trying to keep my mind out for you guys. So just want to know that back in Minnesota, I love you all and haven't forgotten any of you, whether that be Dina or Hannah, other Hannah, Christian, and there are much people who forget. You're all on my Facebook, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, no, I just want people to know that I haven't forgotten, but I do love my friends in Michigan a lot too. So there's something to be said about that. But anyway, I think that I've rambled on for long enough. Hopefully in the future I'll be funny on this thing and you'll be compelled to watch it for that reason. Maybe my dashing good looks will be the other reason, but probably not. So I'm just going to bank on the personality aspect since that's usually what's gotten me places in life, along with my precious gap tooth bitchness. So, alright, thank you for watching my little lo-fi Mac DeMarco webcam experience video. Hopefully you'll tune back in. If not, sorry. Thank you for bearing with me, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.